Hey yo, hi, hello. Today we're going to be changing the wheel bearing on this old Chevy Express. So stay tuned. So the first thing that we're going to have to do is find a 22 millimeter and take off these little caps here. They're not very tight, at least they ain't supposed to be. So now it's time for this brake caliper. There's a bolt right here and then a bolt down on the bottom. And then we're going to have to figure out how to hang it off of this so we don't stretch this brake line. It's an 18 millimeter. Let's see if I can get this in there without hitting you guys. It's a 10 millimeter. Just that. Alrighty then. I got a little bit of movement there. Alright, what I'm doing here is I'm putting a couple lug nuts on this. I'm going to put them on backwards. That way my rotor doesn't flop around, come at a funny angle, make it difficult for me to get these brake pads off. Alright, we're going to hit this with some brake clean, of course. Probably should have done it earlier. I should probably get a can that works. Well, shit. Now that we have this all shimmed up with those lug nuts, let's go ahead and hit this with some brake cleaner. Let that dry for a second. And we'll go ahead and finish pulling those bolts out and pull that caliper off, I hope. Catching on something. Probably catching on the retainer. There's a little metal retainer on the side of the brake pad. I'm assuming this is catching on that. It's probably filled with rust. Got this big ass C-clamp we're going to put on there. Let's see what we can do without compressing those. Compressing those pistons. I'm going to put one of these alignment pins back in here. Hope and pray this fits. There we go. We don't want to compress it much, just enough to get over that lip. Maybe that's enough. Maybe it's not. There we go. Take this little hook. Hang that up there so we're not stretching our line. hear that? There's definitely a bad bearing in there. So let's go ahead and take our brake pads off. Take this mounting bracket off. Then we can pull the rotor off. Oh yeah, I forgot to take out the brake pads. They just slide out. These are good. They're nice and thick. Alright, these two bolts are stupid hard to get out. Apparently they got some kind of yellow Loctite on them. So now that these two bolts are out finally, definitely hot. This bracket can come off. Then you can go ahead and take your lug nuts off that you put on earlier. Now your rotor's able to come off. They're going to be 15 millimeters. So now we have a bolt here, one down here, one back here, and one up here. Right here, here, and here. So now that I have all four of these bolts out, I need to take this little sensor out. And I'm not for sure what size Allen wrench it is, but I did find one that fits. And it wasn't exactly tight. That over here so I don't lose it. And this should just pull straight out. Might need a little help. I want to keep using this sensor because I know it works. I ain't for sure about the other one. Trapped behind this shield. This whole piece will come off and then this will be free. Now let's see if I get lucky. Oh, I will get lucky and it will just pull right off maybe. Well, looky there. One free wheel bearing. Just put the new one on. Well, the new used one. See if I can get this in here first before I try putting that shield on. Back out. Shield on. Slide that back in. I'm gonna have to get some anti-seize. I'll be right back. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this stuff, anti-seize. I bought this jar probably 30 years ago. It's not dried up yet. And you put it on your bolts just to make sure that you can get them off in another 20 years. It's getting close to being dried up. Alright, now I got this bolted back up. The cylinder bolted back up. It's time to put the bracket back on. Go something like that. And I seize these bolts real quick, set them off to the side. Just gonna grab our we'll clean off the spider webs and the other cocoons. Put on our brake rotor. Once again, I'm going to run lug nut on backwards. I had this off. I went ahead and did a thread chase on these threads to make it nice and easy. But now we need to put this bracket on. And we're going to run it home with the 21. Now that our bracket's back on, we can put our pads on. They'll slide on left and right. Now we can reach over and grab this rotor. Slide on. Watch out for your rubber boots. Grab one of these pins. Those are alignment pins, that's why they're shaped like that. They're shaped like this so they'll get in that little hole. If I remember right, these are 18 millimeters. Don't forget your hook. Unfortunately, I broke that little clip, but it really ain't gonna hurt anything. Can't go anywhere. Time to put the tire on. Clean up my mess. Alright, now I gotta struggle getting this tire out from underneath here. Get it put on. So I 3D printed a little rubber washer so these things didn't rattle. You don't want to put them on super tight, just a little over finger. works. Spins freely now. That's good, son. Let's get cleaned up, put this thing down, and I guess take it for a test drive. Alright, it's about dark. I'm getting ready to go for a test drive. It's 8 o'clock. It took me about 2 hours to put this on, take it off, all the above. So let's go take it for a test drive and see if it works. And remember, smile while you still have teeth. So here's what this thing sounded like. There's definitely a bearing bad in there.